Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pleated skirt with an elastic waistband and bow on the back, just like Sailor V. So let's get started. I changed my mind a lot about how to put this skirt together, so I don't have many exact measurements for fabric, and your measurements will vary, but these are the basic things you'll need. Red cotton or polyester thread, blue thread, red lining fabric about 1/8 of a yard, and blue lining fabric about 1/2 a yard to 3/4 of a yard, and I will link the type of fabric I used in the description. Heat and Bond Light, it is a fusible interfacing and it's about 1/2 a yard of that. A tape measure, 1-inch elastic cut to the size of your waist when it's unstretched, some pins, a medium-sized sharp sewing needle, and an optional material is some ripstop nylon or another stiff lining material to give the bow some shape. You don't need this unless you're doing the bow. For the skirt, I measured how long I wanted it. Mine was about 1 foot. Then I cut a rectangle with that length and as wide as the width of the fabric, which for me was roughly 60 inches. The waistband is 3 inches by your waist measurement plus 10 inches or so. So, for example, my piece that I used for my waistband was about 3 inches by 40-ish inches, so it's a really long strip. So, fold the waistband over with the elastic inside and make sure you aren't sewing through the elastic when you sew the band closed, otherwise you will not be able to stretch out the skirt. Fold the waistband upside down against the top of the skirt, then sew and turn it right side out so no seams are showing. I'm stitching everything with a thick T-shaped stitch to prevent the grain of the fabric from being pulled against and ripped, because this material will rip very easily if it gets caught on something. If you're doing the bow on the back, you need one piece that is 5 by 24 inches, two pieces that are 12 by 3 inches, and a singular little piece that is 2 inches by 3 inches, and then a 1 by 3 inch piece of the heat and bond to go inside of that smaller piece. You're going to fold both long edges together on the small piece and adhere it with the heat and bond. Fold the edges in again and press with the iron to make a small stiff strip that we'll use for the center of the bow. Fold the edges of the big piece together to make a center seam, just like you did with the little piece, and sew the long edges together so that there are two pockets facing each other. Turn this right side out. Then sew around 3 of the sides of the other pieces to make pockets, and then turn them right side out. For more structure, stuff a strip or two of the ripstop nylon inside each piece. I used one big strip that was folded in half, and then line up the pieces and sew them together, pinching the large part of the bow to get the creases where you want them. Wrap the small strip around the middle of the bow and trim the extra bits off the end of it. Hand stitch the back side to the underside of the bow so that it isn't visible from the front. For the red trim on the bottom, I cut a 4-inch strip as long as the width of the fabric, which was still roughly 60 inches, and then I folded both edges together to make a center seam, just like with the little strip and the big double pocket piece. And I pieced together the strips of Heat and Bond to adhere it all together because Heat and Bond comes as a very small piece, so you had to kind of piece it together. For a more in-depth tutorial on how to use the Heat and Bond, you can check out my Animal Crossing bag video, but I'm going to skip over it for this one because there is so much other stuff. Then I folded it over the bottom of the skirt and sewed along the edge. Sew up the seam of the skirt, that's the seam that goes in the back, and hand sew the bow onto the back so that no stitches are showing through the front of the bow. You could be done at this point, but I really want to change the shape of the skirt with some faux pleats. The first type of pleat is a slightly curved seam evenly done around the skirt while the skirt is inside out. Make sure you're curving it in towards the waist if you want to bring in the waist more. If you don't want to bring in the waist more, just keep it straight the whole way down. Curve it in towards the waist, but don't sew up into the elastic if you do this. These seams still didn't look pleated enough to me, so I decided to pinch the fabric toward the waist between each seam and stitch a long dart into it, creating another type of faux pleat. I didn't make it pleated originally so it wouldn't fly up like Sailor V's does whenever she moves, so this was good enough for me at this point. But be careful not to add too many pleats unless you want to sew in an extra panel or else it won't fit around your waist anymore. And finally, I was done! There were a lot of different things I had to try with this, so it got a bit frustrating, and I actually stepped on a needle at one point and got it stuck in my foot, so it was a really great day to be doing this. But hopefully my experiments were helpful. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more crafty content. See ya! You can totally check on the status of this, and mine is not sticking because I forgot to turn on. There's no water in my iron. That's the first problem. I just insisted that I turn it off and on to work. This is really great footage. So because my fabric... Oh shit, I'm not close enough. Oh beep. I'm not close enough.